Hey guys, it's me, Sujoy, and I'm back with another video. I was not keeping well for a few days. I had a lot of high temperature, and yeah, it was not COVID, but I was pretty sick. I was taking a lot of medication. I was like fucking bed rest. My body was in pain. Had very bad headaches when I would go off to sleep, and I've had sleepless nights for a couple of these days, because I keep on falling sick, quite often over here in Vietnam. Anyways, apart from that, I'm still recovering. I just want to make this video about, um, uh, you know, living long term here in Vietnam. So I'm going to give you from my personal experience. So before I continue, let me just have some ginger tea. Okay, so I'm originally from India, and I've been living in Saigon for over 5 years now. So I'm going to talk from my personal experience. I'm not, I did my college from the States. I was in Europe for 10 years of my life. I had my upbringing over there. Pretty much well traveled. You can say like been other parts of Southeast Asia. So, from my personal experience living long term in Vietnam, and especially knowing that, the 90-day visa is not yet taken into place because we are already in the month of May. So, yeah, so with all this situation over here right now, so I would say that like if you're an expat coming to Vietnam, like the first 1 year, first 1 2 years, would be exciting for you. I mean, especially if you're going to be teaching English. I started my career over here in Ho Chi Minh as an English teacher. I was teaching over here for 3.5 years. So yeah, I mean, it gets pretty. You are excited. You're in Southeast Asia. The cost of food is low. I mean, it's very cheap. And like tourist attraction parks. And if you're a solo traveler, finding a beautiful finding a beautiful Vietnamese girl to date around. Yeah, that's all good. You know So, and of course, you're getting used to the traffic, and the hustle and bustle in the markets and everything. So, I mean, that's all really good and nice and everything. There are many YouTube vloggers, Western vloggers, they keep on, you know, showing all about Vietnam, the cool coffee shops, and like places to eat, and the best banh mi, the best pho, and all those things which you watch. That's all pretty cool. But I think most of these vloggers, like they're not staying in Vietnam as long as I mean they've been here only like say 3 years or something like that. I mean, they've not been living here like long term, like over 5 years now. Like which I have done. I have nothing against Vietnam. It's a beautiful country. I love. I've been to a lot of places here in Vietnam. I've been to Da Nang, Vung Tau, Hanoi. And a couple other locations. So yeah, I mean it's really beautiful. But if I talk about how I personally feel, in terms of retirement, and knowing that for the past one year now, for the past 1.5 year or 1 year now, you're still Vietnam is still is still stuck with the 30 days e-visa, um, which has been heavily criticized. And they keep on saying they'll be back with the 90-day visa. I don't know when that's happening, because it's already May right now. It's the month of May right now. So, I mean, before COVID, it was kind of okay. It was cool because, you had the 3 months visa. You could even avail for the 6 months visa, which was more, you know, suitable for foreigners, because, if you're on your own visa, you feel more comfortable to live in that country. So like, it attracted a lot of tourists, really did attract a lot of tourists. And I mean, I wouldn't mind paying $160 for the 6 months visa, or I'm not sure how much I had paid that time, but that was all right. But like post COVID, during the pandemic, I was stuck in my country. I was in India for 2 years. So, yeah, it was very challenging for me because I was stuck at home and I really wanted to travel to Southeast Asia. And the first stop I did was in Thailand. I was there for 3 months. And, that kind of reactivated my exposure to Southeast Asia. And then from there, I went to Vietnam, to Saigon. Um, And I just thought that, like this 30-day visa would be kind of a bit temporary type, but it's been going on for a year now. So, yeah, it's also sulking into that. I mean, if I would say that is Vietnam a great option for retirement, I would say no, because firstly, the visas, I don't see a lot of flexibilities. Like, if you, unlike in Thailand, like you do have a lot of different visa types. Um, you know but you don't have that over here in Vietnam. And of course, I think the environment also, a bit, sometimes it gets a bit onto me, because like I said, most of the time I feel the isolation. People are always kept to themselves. I've had challenges with discriminations. I've faced discrimination here a lot. And of course, like, I keep on falling sick quite often over here in Vietnam. Maybe it's due to the weather or the pollution. And it sucks, because, like, I'm fucking, lying on bed for 3 consecutive days, like a zombie. And, I lose a lot of body mass. Like the the muscles which I had gained from my exercise previously. I keep on losing that. So, yeah, I mean, I do keep on falling sick quite often over here in Vietnam. So, and also I'm a bit worried about when you're buying street food from here. Like, because half of the time, I keep on getting food poisoning. So, I mean, it's not like in Thailand where you can pick up a street food and you can eat it, but it's like it's hygienic, and it's properly. I mean, I've had a lot of Thai street food, so I've had no issues whatsoever. Yeah, sometimes if you're eating spicy Thai food, that's a different story altogether. But I have to be also careful, like, when I'm picking up street foods over here in Vietnam. I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, like, if you're in Saigon, you have, really good nightlife, great, a lot of coffee shops to hang around. It's all very exciting for the first 2 to 3 years. But if you're looking like for a long-term stay here in Vietnam, like, like 5 to 7 years, it'll definitely start sulking in. It'll start it starts fucking around with your mind that, do you really think Vietnam is the best option for retirement, knowing that, the visa policies are so stringent, there are no, uh, there are no changes yet. And, like sometimes the environment gets too intimidating for me, and, the heavy traffic, the crazy madness. And for me, personally speaking, I think Vietnam is always on the edge. Like, everything is done so, like, it's like to the extreme level. Like, like I'm always living by the edge. You know what I mean? And, expect frustration because, most of the time things are pretty slow over here in this part of the world. And, so, and also in terms of opportunities, like, like if you're not a white foreigner, and, if you have brown skin, and if you're not coming from a native country, and if you're coming from India and all that, so, teaching jobs, that's a big problem, because, you're going to have a lot of discrimination over there, when it comes to the hiring. But, I'm not bothered much about that, because I'm doing my digital marketing business, so, I'm earning money from that. So I'm pretty, cool with that right now. But yeah, I mean, lack of opportunities. And so yeah, I mean, you got to really look into that. I mean, is it a viable retirement option? Is Vietnam a viable retirement option? I have nothing against, of expats, coming to Vietnam, staying here for, for 2, 3 years, 4 years. Absolutely, it's a beautiful country. You should definitely come, move around the country. A lot of places, beautiful sightseeing attractions. Um, you know, and, of course, a lot of investments, foreign direct investments here in Vietnam. So that's a very good sign. But, I'm just talking in terms of retirement, and, from my personal experience, from my point of view, because I'm right now, in my 40s. And I remember when I came to Vietnam, I was, so 5 years back. So I think I must have been, in my 30s when I came over here. I'm really not good in math, but, I really need to now reconsider, like, is Vietnam really a viable option for me to stay long term? um, because I know that there are other regions in Asia, especially like, Malaysia, Singapore. So, yeah, maybe I may like to explore those regions as well. I've been to Thailand many times, so yeah, definitely Thailand is, it's a good getaway place to go. Um, but, so it all, I still need to, evaluate, those other regions which I haven't explored in Asia. So, yeah, I mean, so if I'm going to be looking for, 5 to 7 years down the line, staying out here in Vietnam, like for people who are being here for 5 to 7 years, um, it's a bit different. Our views are a bit, I mean, my personal view is a bit different. I know there are many vloggers, Western vloggers, they keep on, highlighting Vietnam and all that. But I think that they are catered to certain expats. They cater to expats who are like newly arriving to Vietnam, or just over here for a couple of months. But, like this from my personal experience. So, I just wanted to share my views. um, you know uh, I'm not trying to criticize the, Vietnam tourism industry at all. but it would have been better if if a bit more flexibility would have come in terms of the visas, and then bring them back now, immediate effect, and also, more opportunities, trying to be as par with other Southeast Asian countries like, like Singapore, Malaysia. So, and of course the hygiene factor, and like the traffic and all that stuff. But that's secondary. So I just wanted to share my thoughts. I mean, this is just kind of my personal point of view. But from my personal intake, is Vietnam good for retirement? I would say no, not yet. All right. So you guys have a great day. Peace out.